So what we're going to discuss now is how we authenticate to an API. Because an API is not something that we maintain a session state with. We simply make a request to our API and it returns data to us, and then our relationship is finished with the API until we need to make another request. Now, tokens are a good thing to use with an API because they're small enough to send with every single request. And, well, let's take a look at what they actually are. So JSON Web Tokens are an industry standard for tokens, suggested in RFC 7519 if you're into that kind of thing. They're self-contained and they can contain credentials, they can contain claims and other information if you want to do so. And if we take a look at the structure of one of these, what they are, they're basically a long string that's separated into three parts. Each part is separated by a period. Now in the first part, that's the header of the token, and this contains the algorithm and the type of token that it is. Now the algorithm is what's used to encrypt the signature in the third part of the token. And the type of the token, of course, is going to be JWT, which is JSON Web Token. Now the second part in this token is the payload, and this is where we can contain information about our claims and our credentials. So we can have things like the name identifier, what the username is, what roles the user's in, and any other claims that the user has about themselves. When we say claims, we really mean that a user is claiming to be something. So in this case, Lola, or this user, is claiming to be Lola. And we also have three timestamps inside there as well. The MBF means that the token cannot be used before a certain date and time. We have an expiry date and time for the token, and also when the token was issued at. And as I mentioned in the third part, well, this is where the signature is contained, and this signature is encrypted. And the token is encrypted, or the token signature, I should say, is encrypted by the server itself using a secure key that never ever leaves the server. And the only part of the token that is encrypted is the signature. Everything else is very easily obtained simply by decoding the token, which we don't need to do anything clever with. It's just very simple to get information out of a token. What we cannot do easily is modify the token in any way and expect our API to accept it, because that will change the entire structure of the token and the signature would not be verified. So let's take a look at how token authentication works. So a user logs in and sends their username and password up to the server. The server will validate their credentials and return a JSON Web Token that the client will store locally on their machine. Typically, we often use browser storage to hold onto the token so that we can then send the JSON Web Token with every single request. So anytime that we want to access something that's protected by authentication on the server, we send up the JWT token with that request. Now what we do with this token is we add an authentication header to the request, and then the server will take a look at the token and verify that the token is valid. Now the server that signed the token will have access to the private key that's stored on the server, and the server is able to verify that the token is valid without needing to make a call to a database. And in the final part, the server says, yep, that token's okay, and sends back the response. So similar benefits of using JWT. There's no session to manage. All JWTs are self-contained tokens. We don't need to manage sessions. We just simply send up the token with every request, and because they're very small and lightweight, this doesn't add much to our request that we send over the wire. They're also very portable. We can use a single token with multiple backends. So long as the backends all share the same signature, the same secret key, then they can all verify that a token is valid. Also, no cookies are required, which means that JWT tokens are mobile friendly. Mobile phones do not deal with cookies, whereas they can deal with a JSON Web Token. And performance. Once a token is issued, there is no need to make a database request to verify a user's authentication. So a user logs in, we issue them with a token, they keep hold of the token, and anytime they need to access a protected resource, they present their token inside an authentication header, and the server is able to verify the token without needing to check the database or the user is who they say he is, because the token is a trusted thing, and if a user has a claim in there saying that this is their username, then because it's inside that token that's been signed by the server, then it will trust that that username is the user that's accessing that resource. So let's go ahead and implement them in our application.